The Fall, Part 4. In continuing our examination of the fall, there are four main things that I want us to notice about Genesis 3, verses 20 through 24. The first thing is that Adam now believed God's word. In naming his wife Eve as the mother of all human beings, which is what her name means, Adam has faith that the promises of God will take shape in the following ages. Second thing to notice is what it takes to cover Adam and Eve's shame. God made garments of skin to cover Adam and Eve. An animal's skin had to be used, which means, in turn, the killing of an animal. And this foreshadows all the animal sacrifices of the book of Leviticus, which are also used to cover the sin of people, even though they're not really sufficient to do that, as the book of Hebrews says. Only God can cover up the true shame of human beings. And the great news of the gospel is that Jesus has given us the ultimate clothing, his own righteousness that came from his own death. He is the great sacrifice that puts an end to all of the animal sacrifices of the Old Testament. Third thing to notice is the translation of chapter 3, verse 22, which usually runs something like, "The man has become like one of us, knowing good and evil." And the way that reads, it sounds as though a little bit that God feels threatened somehow because Adam and Eve have become too much like him. And although I'm in the minority on this point, I do believe the proper translation should read, "Behold, man had been like one of us, knowing good and evil," implying that he is no longer that way. God doesn't feel threatened by where Adam and Eve are now. Instead, God doesn't want Adam and Eve to continue on in their miserable fallen condition. It becomes instead a statement of grace. Now, remember, I said before that Satan lied about whether they were like God. His statement implied that they were not like God, whereas Genesis 1 says that both man and woman were made in the image of God. In other words, the fall made Adam and Eve less like God, not more like him. And in such a condition, it was inappropriate then for Adam and Eve to partake of the fruit of the tree of life under those circumstances of the fall. And so God drove them out of the Garden of Eden. The fourth thing to notice is this idea of being exiled from the Garden of Eden. The garden is known as the first place where God and humanity meet. In the Old Testament, we see that recur in the tabernacle that was made to look like the garden, and that was intentional because the tabernacle was the place where God and man would meet. And the third place is the temple built by King Solomon. The fourth place is Jesus' own person, where God and humanity meet in two natures in one person. And then in him, the church also is now the place where God and humanity meet. Now, in one sense, humanity's always been trying to get back into the garden. It's the reason why the entrance to the tabernacle and the temple is always on the east side, so that entering the tabernacle or temple means going west, a sort of symbolic re-entering of Eden. So I hope you find these things helpful in understanding a little bit more about what Christians believe about the fall.